Hello, super coaches. It's the late mail show for round 6. Lots to talk about. Huge late mail floating around today. I'll start on probably the biggest line from today. That is that Adam Reynolds has been cleared. He will play for the Broncos this weekend. Got through captain's run today. That hamstring is fine. Super coach wise, though, he was a sell already. It doesn't matter that he's been past fit this week. The break even was 144, or is 144. It's probably going to drop cash. Plus, you have Nathan Cleary there at an incredible price, a barely seen before price in the 600,000s. So you can go Reynolds to Cleary, only cost you 50K. I think you should lock that in. If you've already got Cleary, or you don't want to do that, you should be able to have the right jewels to get Reynolds out for one of these good cheapies like Egan or Thomas Cant. We'll get to the Cant v Egan debate in a second. We've got a big show lined up. Send through your questions, guys. I'll get to those in a second. I can already see one has lobbed in now. I'll get to that in a moment. I'll go through my trades, captaincy, and my last word heading into the round. Let's go into these questions now. But before I do, I'm going to use this nifty little graphic. Oh, yeah, check that out. Don't ever tell me that this show lacks production quality. Look at that. And then now the first question has lobbed. Teddy or Eli Katoa in this week? Look, I love them both. I'll show this question. There we go. Teddy or Eli Katoa? I love them both. I want both of them in my team. Tedesco, I would have just ahead. The reason being that his bye schedule is incredible. Provided he misses Origin, he will play all 3 big bye rounds. Now, if he makes Origin, let's say Dylan Edwards is injured and he plays Origin, the reverse of that is that he has the worst schedule over the bye period. I still think Teddy has barely lost anything. He doesn't have the cattle around him this year, but he's still killing it for Supercoach. I really want to get him in. He's bottomed out this week with the BE at 75. I really like it. I also love Eli Katoa. Will be crucial over the buys, but the thing to point out is that the Storm actually have a poor buy schedule to start the buys. They got buys in 12 and 15, but then from round 16 onwards, they have no buys. They will finished all their buys, one of the first teams to finish their buys, if not the first. So I would say Tedesco now, Eli Katoa can wait a little bit. Send your questions, guys. That's the only one in so far, so flick them through and you will get answered. I'll run through my trades. Let's bring up my team for you. And show you what's going on with Sanks' Paradise this week. Only the one trade for me. I know that I have talked up Thomas Cant as the best cheapie ahead of Dylan Egan, and I still think he is. Thomas Cant, now that Dylan Lucas is confirmed out for another 2 or 3 weeks, will make 150, probably minimum in that time. But then the job security isn't great from there. I really want to get both into my team, but I've just gone with just the one in Dylan Egan because he's cheaper. He's 80K cheaper, and I can't actually afford to get Cant into my team. So the one cheapie for me will get out of this now. The reason is, you look at my back row here, the only guys that I could sell. So I've sold Royce Hunt for Egan through some jewels, which barely frees up any cash at all. And then I don't have cash to get Cant because I don't want to sell anyone. I'm not selling Haas. I'm not selling Terrell May. I'm not selling Tino for Asamoah, even though he's suspended. Not selling Fafita. I probably should, but I'm not. Horsburgh, Nicholson. I don't want to sell any of these guys. Varmunga, Hubner has got a very low BE. The only guy I could possibly sell for Cant is Nafahu White. But as I said, Nafahu White at the Roosters has the best buy schedule going around. So he's going to be crucial over that period. Plus he's averaging in the mid-60s. So he's a keeper at least until the end of the buy period for me, unless there's some sort of injury issue to him. So I will not be going Thomas Cant this week. That's just my team situation. That's the reason why. A lot of people will be able to get him in. They'll have the right jewels. So they'll be able to swing someone like Sandon Smith or Connor Watson or whoever it happens to be. And a lot of people are selling guys like Jamie Humphries to Cant. Yes, lock that in. If you can sell Tom Starling to Cant via someone like Sandon Smith, yes, absolutely lock that in. But in my team situation, I just can't pull it off. I have to sell someone in the back row or front row for Cant, and I don't want to get rid of anyone in that position, and Egan is just a bit cheaper. That's the only reason for that. My only trade for the week, I'm going to sit back and just see what happens this weekend, knowing that next week we've got another good cheapie coming up in Billy Smith. We could also have a cheapie at the Roosters in Hugo Savala. He is starting in halves this week. Chad Townsend dropped, so definitely a guy to watch. Heaps of questions. They are all flooding in now. What's this one? Is Adam Reynolds still a sell? Yes, I said that before. Absolutely. Is Hugo Savala worth it? Not yet. Certainly don't get on there this week. We'll see what happens this weekend. He could be a buy for next round or even the week after. The thing is, with Cant maybe only playing 2 games, let's say he makes 150K in that time, then Dylan Lucas comes back, then Hugo Savala will be the perfect downgrade in 2 weeks' time. That would be Supercoach poetry. On to Ponga to Cleary. Oh, that makes no sense. I would not be selling Kalen Ponga. He's got probably the best run in the competition over the next 5 rounds or so. Do not go Ponga to Cleary. Jesse is asking, Jesse Lee, I believe that I play in a draft league against this bloke, so I'm not sure how much information I want to give away. When is the time to sell Starling for Grant? I tossed it up this week. Look, Grant is not killing it this year, but the Storm are going so well that surely a big score is around the corner. I'm going to hold on to Starling for 1 more week and potentially go Starling to Grant next week, but I'm not making that move this round. On to, what's this from Wesley? He's asking, is the Shib worth trading out this week for a season gun like Val Holmes, who has come down in price? Absolutely not, because the Shib still has a very low break even. Let's have a look at it, actually. Still -2, predicted to go up by 60K this week. So certainly don't sell Shibasaki this round. Let's have a squiz in here. Of course, all of what I'm looking at now is in Supercoach Plus, $29.95 for the year. You get all sorts of stuff like the break evens, the projected rises, all that sort of thing. Plus, what I really like here is this number right there. So the projected score is 70, which is achievable. It's high. It's achievable against the Roosters this weekend, given that it is at Suncorp. And then next week, if he gets 65, he's going to bottom out pretty quickly. So it could be 1 more week from the Shib. Then he could go to someone like Billy Smith as a cheapie next week, or you upgrade him to a keeper. And the guy that you've mentioned, Valentine Holmes, is a really good option. I like it. He's bottomed out. He started kicking goals. A lot of the attack is going down the left there for the Dragons. And Gutherson is the guy who's benefiting most, but also Val Holmes is setting up a heap of tries. And Tui Piloto is the guy who seems to be scoring them. On to Luai or Metcalf. Look, I wouldn't be going any of those. Perhaps the question is whether to sell Luai or sell Metcalf would make more sense. What else have we got? Firma or Gilbert to Cant? I would probably hold Firma. I know he didn't do well on the weekend when they had Jojo Fafita was ruled out and he had to play in the centres. Now, they've reversed that decision. Jojo Fafita is still out this weekend, but they've brought in a young gun. Oh, he's not a young gun, actually. He's a rookie. He's 26. His name is Alan Fitzgibbon, I believe, who's come on the wing, which means that Firma can stay in the back row. So you've got that cool dual positioning with Firma. So I'd be hanging on to him. He won't be playing in the centres this week, which is good news. And, yeah, Gilbert can go. Now playing on the edge, he's not going up, not going down. He's not doing a great deal. So he can go to Cant for sure. More questions from here. Would you sell Campbell? The thing is with Campbell, he had a poor score at full time. Even after the first update, I think he was in the low 30s. Then ended up over 50. So the thing is, even in an absolute shocker of the game, Campbell can go quite well. I'd certainly be holding on to Campbell, and I'm jealous of people who own Campbell, put it that way. Who do I trade? It's from Kobe Sangster. I wonder who that guy is. I don't know this Sangster. I'm not related to this person, but I'll certainly give some tips. Who do I trade Starling for? Harry Grant next week is what I'm thinking. If you've got the right duels, though, you can go him via Sandon Smith to someone like Cleary, or you could go via Connor Watson to Thomas Cant or Dylan Egan. Let's run through some late mail. As I said at the start of the show, Adam Reynolds will play. I still think he is a sell. Zach Lomax, go for Zach Lomax. He's out for at least 6 weeks with a fractured foot, which is a big blow because he was a guy that I was looking at bringing in at a cut price. And he just moved to the wing as well, which is where he does his best work for Supercoach, makes all those runs. And when he runs, it means tackle busts, it means offloads, etc. So he was starting to look really good, but unfortunately beat my Dragons right at the death, injured his foot at just a couple of minutes before that, and now he's out for 6 weeks. So the Dragons are the ones who copped the most out of that situation. Dylan Edwards is back, so in tonight's game, he will play. This is huge news for a lot of draft teams because he went high in a lot of drafts. He's got the break-even of 134, so could be coming down in price for Classic as well. Probably not a person to target if you're a Classic player, but certainly, if you're an overall player or if you're head-to-head player, you could look at him. The thing that I think is most relevant about him this week is that his return likely improves Nathan Cleary, and for that reason, I am considering a cheeky straight C on Nathan Cleary tonight. I did it a few weeks ago in the first game of the round and he got concussed. So that is still in my mind. But that would be the pod move because only about 6 or 7% of people are doing it. Of course, if you don't have the C on Cleary, then certainly the VC is the most popular VC by a long way. The only issue I've got is that, yes, Edwards is back, but he's lost his hooker for at least this week as well. So that could be an issue as well. On to Mark Nawonga Nitawasi. He is hoping to come back from a calf injury, and there is some chat that if he does, he would play on the wing and Dom Young would drop out, which would be a pretty significant selection call by the coach there. As I mentioned just before, Alan Fitzgibbon, he's a 26-year-old. He's been compared to Josh Adokar. He's quick. If you look at the late mail story in the news section of the app right now, there's a video in there, and he is seriously exciting. He looks good. He's going to be entertaining to watch no matter what, and could be a cheapie for down the track. Although with Jojo Fafita due back next week, it's just a cork. He may only play the one game. In any case, he should be exciting to watch. Ruben Cotter, certain starter. He'll be back after that illness last week. And then finally, Pappenhausen. He will definitely play. We'll do a couple more questions. Garrick to Jenkins, bank the cash. I don't know why you'd sell Garrick, to be honest. And I don't know why you don't own Jenkins already. He was the buy for last week. If you missed out on him, yeah, you probably need to do him. But I'd be selling someone other than Garrick. What about Bulldogs? What about Bulldogs cheapie next week? Food? I'm not entirely sure what that means. But yeah, Bulldogs are on the buy. They've got some young guns coming through like Jack Todd. I believe Harry Hayes got injured at training today, which could be a big thing for draft teams. He's pretty popular in draft. This question from Mick is asking about Mawene Hiroti. I wouldn't look. We don't quite know how long Kyle Iro is out for. It's down for 3 to 6 weeks. It's a little bit of a complicated hamstring tear. I'm not an expert on hamstrings, but they put down a big range for it because it's not a typical hamstring tear. Having said that, Hiroti's only played the one game, hasn't he? And the job security is not good. Plus, you've got someone like Billy Smith coming along next week. You've got all these good cheapies at the moment. Like, you don't need to go with Hiroti. Having said that, as a draft buy for a couple of weeks, yes, absolutely lock it in. What's Fualalo's job security like? He will hold that spot at least until Tom Trbojevic is back into that team. So on other weeks, he'd probably be quite a popular cheapie, but this week with Egan and Cant on offer, he's a fair way down the list. I like the look of him. The work rate probably isn't quite what we want for a backline cheapie in Supercoach, but he's a try-scoring machine in the lower grades, so I expect him to cross the try line a fair bit. Is Cleary a potential buy next week? Absolutely. I mean, the break-even is high. It's 116. So, look, I mean, he could hit that against the Dolphins tonight. But his price is probably likely to come down. Certainly won't go up by much. So, yeah, definitely you could get on him next week. Troy is saying VC Cleary, C Ponga. That is exactly what I'm doing, which leads into the next segment of the show, which is captaincy. VC on Cleary is very popular. So we can I'll dive into Supercoach Plus here and show you some of the numbers. As I said, Supercoach Plus, $29.95 for the year. Here's what you can do with it. So I'm going to share my screen first. I'm going to look at just the top 10% of super coaches. So this is just the good super coaches and what they are doing. And what they are doing, if you go most popular VC, let's click on that. Nathan Cleary, 61.4%. So people are loving Nathan Cleary. That is a very high number. I don't think you should take this on. You shouldn't be anti-podding Nathan Cleary tonight. I think you just stick with that. The only pod move tonight would be to chuck the C on Nathan Cleary. And I can tell you, by clicking this button, only 7.3% of the top 10% of Supercoaches are doing that. So it is a really pod move to pull that off. Also on the VC, Clint Gutherson, 10.7%. I think if you own Gutho, you have to have a piece of him, either with the VC or the C, coming up against the Titans, who have never won in Wollongong, and the Dragons have a 60% win rate there. So, look, then, the Dragons, I'm a Dragons fan, and look, they're an okay team at best, but still, you've got to have a crack at Gutho with the C or the VC. Payne Haas, I do not know why you would VC Payne Haas, to be honest. I'll be going for more upside. On to most popular captain, Gutho, right at the top, which makes sense to me. You'd go VC on Cleary tonight, Gutho in the first game on Friday. Payne Haas, 15.7%. So that's boring for me, but he had a down game by his standards last week, only 50-odd points. So he should be bouncing back this week. He was up at 40 or 50% last week. So you get him at 15%. It's actually a pod move for him. This is the guy I'm going. Kalyn Ponga, he's been up as high as 40, 50% at stages this year. You can get him at 15.6%. And I'll show you something else nifty with Supercoach Plus. I can go here, teams and venues, and I'll show you just how good of a record he has at McDonald Jones Stadium. You can see that there, averages 80.73, which is very good. Averages 80.4 against the West Tigers. And if you click into him here and check out what he's done in the past, it'll take too long to show you, but I can assure you that the last 4 games he's played at McDonald Jones Stadium, he has scored tons. So he's going for 5 tons in a row at MJS Stadium. So I think he is a great captaincy option. It's just 15%. It's pod areas for him. We'll take a couple of questions to end the show. We'll go with the absolute latest one to have popped in. Could I boost and trade out Arthurs? Who is the best C2W to bring in? Well, look, hopefully you've got someone with dual position flexibility, like Beau Fermor, for example, and you can bring him in for one of the cheapies like Egan or Cant in the back row. If not, I think that someone like Val Holmes would be a good option, having all but bottomed out after the start of the season. Should I use a boost to get Katoa into my team? Yeah, why not? I mean, Katoa, he's the elite 2RF in Supercoach this year. Plus, while he doesn't have the greatest buy schedule to start the buys, he is still going to be very useful over that period. And plays the thing that is underestimated about the buys are those mini buy rounds, the ones after the big buy rounds, because full 17 instead of top 13. And he plays all of those. And those are weeks that Origin players are backing up and often get rested. Is Wong from the Roosters a decent buy? Look, he's been on fire, averaging 70-odd since switching to the starting back row, but he is about 500K, so he's expensive. I wouldn't be going now. I think you've missed the boat on him. Well, that's it. We're about the 20-minute mark. I've been told to cut it to 20 minutes. Thanks, everyone, for writing in your questions. Hopefully we helped you out and tipped you into a winner this weekend. Have a great weekend and go Nathan Cleary, potentially as captain for Sanks' Paradise tonight, certainly as VC. Bye.